Welcome to the Coffee Chat Podcast. My name is Aaron. I'm going to be your host today. If you're new to this, first time listening, if you consider subscribing or liking this podcast. This podcast was started to help local businesses. We are a local business. This podcast is sponsored by Colados Coffee, by the way. Is a family business that we have going on. And a lot of people came up to us asking us, hey, how do you do this? Do you have any advice? So we want to help out. We don't have it all figured out, but what we have figured out, we want to share it with other people. And one of those things is people that we have found throughout the way that have helped us, gain insight or prevent us from doing a lot of mistakes. So we want to bring those people to you through this podcast. And today I have a great friend of ours. His name is Joe Muñoz. He has helped us. He's trained us before. He's been here. He's an entrepreneur. He started working in a restaurant business as well. He loves reading books just like I do, so we have a lot to talk about today. So why don't you guys help me welcome Joe Muñoz to the Coffee Chat Podcast. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for the invite, and I'm extremely happy to be here.
Yes, thank you, man. And we were just talking about a little bit about some of the books we're listening to right now. But before we start, I want to ask you, what's in your cup? What are you drinking? What's your go-to drink?
Well, my to-go drink here has always been, Colados. The original one, I've ever been drinking it for more than 6 years now.
Yeah.
So I stick to it,
Yeah, I see you when you come in here sometimes doing your work, got the colado, get the refill in there and enjoy the coffee. But can you share about, what you do, what are you up to right now, but more focusing on what have you done growing up?
Well, more than anything else right now, what I like to tell you is that after all these years, I'm finally a very happy person.
That's
and
good.
What makes me happy is knowing what I want, knowing who I am, and what I need to do to get there. It took decades actually to get to the point. Starting in the finance industry many years ago, coming out of college, worked for Mercado corporation in the accounting department, and it didn't take me long enough to realize that wasn't for me. It helped me a lot because, I always had the numeric ability that is good for business, but sitting in front of a computer all day long wasn't definitely for me. So I went on and moved on to another financial company where I was actually a financial service rep, and I was on the street, talking to people all day long, and that was more to my suiting. I learned a lot. A lot of the things that I learned back then, I still apply. Then from there, out of nowhere, I came across an opportunity in the restaurant industry. Wasn't looking for it. It just happened. And I spent the next 14 years of my life in the restaurant industry. And, I worked for major corporations. I worked for small company, franchisees and all that. And then we created some concepts of our own. And it was definitely a fantastic ride, man. 14 years that taught me the most I know now.
Wow.
And then after that, auto industry. And now finally, most recently, solar company, solar energy, because I truly believe is the future. I truly believe in preserving our environment. And the solar industry is providing a lot of opportunities for a lot of people. Plus, it's doing a great thing for our planet Earth.
Good. And what were the restaurant? What restaurant did you work in? What industry? What type of restaurant was it?
I work for national brands. I work for Red Lobster. I work for Tony Roma's, and I work for Marriott. And I work for another company. The last company was a company, an Italian concept called Gianni Carino's.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and also I work for a small company out there in Texas. That had these two concepts. One was called Jose's Mexican Restaurant, and the other was Susana's Home Style Cooking. So that was the smallest one, but it was an opportunity that I just came to me, and I took advantage of it.
That's good. What you've been in the restaurant industry for so many years. What do you see? What has been your greatest lesson in the whole process of going through restaurants?
The biggest lesson is this. Regardless of what you offer, you have to have a very clear idea of what you're trying to accomplish. Once you have a very clear idea of what you're trying to accomplish, then you go about learning the fundamentals. The fundamentals of the restaurant business are a good product, okay, great service, and a clean environment. Of course, under those three, there are a lot of subcategories that come into place, but those are the main ones. You can't have a great business without a great product, and also, create an environment where people want to work for you, to be the place where you want to work, because you allow people to be themselves, and you provide them with the tools and resources necessary for them to become better employees. One thing about the restaurant business, that it doesn't matter how long you work in the industry, and regardless of where you go after that, the skills that you learn in the industry can always be taken somewhere else. That's basically it right there.
So good. What would be a good restaurant that you would say is dominating these three things right now?
Right now, well, unfortunately, some of those are not, because of what we live in, are not open. But I believe that, every single Fox restaurant has accomplished that, as a restaurant. And because as soon as you walk into a Fox restaurant, you can tell right away, what's going on. You and I visit those places. And of course, I'm not going to say this because I'm sitting here with you, but I think you guys at Colados have accomplished that, and I love to see what's going to happen, down the next 5 to 7 years. Remember, you and I having these conversations that each one of you is going to own one, so you still 3 more.
Yeah.
3 more to go, and I know after that, who knows. But yeah, Fox restaurants are great, and a lot of people may say they're corporate now, but Sam Fox came out of Tucson, and he's a local resident.
Do you know what my goal is for this podcast?
I don't know them.
To get Sam Fox on this podcast.
That's great. That's a great goal, man. He's very approachable. He's very busy though. I don't know what you know, man. That man has not taken a day off in 30 years.
Nice. Really?
So does that tell you how much he works?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I may be able to help you with that, but I won't promise that.
No, for sure. Anything would help.
And there are a lot of great institutions here in Phoenix, right now, man, that that are doing great, and great small restaurants, and as well as I do, I always say that the heart and soul of every community is their small businesses. That's where everything starts. You go to South Phoenix. There's a restaurant that's Poncho's has been there forever. Everybody is like a go-to kind of place. You go out there to Central Phoenix, and of course it's Barrio Cafe. Silvana's been around for a while there, and she's done a lot of great things. So there are a lot of great institutions that people go to, and it depends on what you want, what you're looking for.
That's so true. I think for sure, small local businesses are, like you said, the heart, and they really help out the community. We continue our Coffee Chat podcast. We're here with Joe Muñoz. We're talking about local businesses, how they're the heart and soul of this, about our community. And I think it's so true. Seeing people come in here, you build relationships with them. Sometimes I think we see people more than their families come in here. We know them so much. We're talking here with Joe. He's also a coach. He's worked with local organizations, and I see you volunteer in a couple of them. Where does that come from? Why do you want to help out local businesses?
I think I just mentioned the reason. It is because of that. I really believe on that. That every local institution is the heart and soul of the community, and not only that. When you help somebody start, develop, grow a business, you're making a contribution to that community, and there is no better way to help somebody to become a leader in their community than establishing a small business.
That's good. What is from your experience, what do you see one of the biggest things that local businesses are lacking when they come to you with organizations? What do you always see, like something that you see common, like, all right, we need to work on this in general?
In general, is I also mentioned that a clear idea of where they want to go. A lot of people open businesses for the wrong reasons. And from the get-go, you need to have that foundation of what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Whether you just want a restaurant to keep as a family restaurant, you want to have 5 to 10 restaurants, you're going to franchise that that establishment, whatever it is that you want to do, you need to have from the beginning. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. So that's the main thing.
Yeah.
If people tell you, well, a lot of people come to me and ask me, let me go back to that. A lot of people come to me and ask me, well, can you help me open a restaurant? And I say, why is it that you want to open a restaurant? It's because my mom, my grandma, whatever, is a good cook. I say that's not a good reason.
Yeah.
Because cooking for a few people is not the same as cooking for hundreds of people.
That's true.
All day long. So you need to have a bigger reason than that.
Your why.
Yeah, it's just, that's the most powerful. That's the more meaningful thing. Once you find out your why or your purpose, whatever you want to call it, then everything aligns to that. Everything appears in front of you that you need to do, but you need to clarify that. And some of us take longer to find out.
I was going to say that because when we opened, we had tostitos. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Coffee, crepes, and chips. And they were a hit. Like, people liked them. They're like, oh, when we took them out, because I was like, it doesn't make sense. We're crepes and coffee, and then we throw in like Mexican, tostitos with chile and cueritos and all this stuff. And people loved them, but we had to take that, come into a conclusion where like, all right, it's a good item and it brings people in, but is it part of our concept? We need to simplify what we do. And I think a lot of the times, many people want to just, whatever's working right now, let's throw tostitos, let's throw hot dogs, let's do tacos now because it's a hit, and then we lose our purpose and value. So.
Well, trying to please everybody is the easiest way to fail. Then, you have to define, the purpose. Okay, who are we? What are we trying to do and how we're going to get there? I mean, adding stuff to menus just for the simple fact of adding doesn't work. If anything, you need to simplify. I've seen menus that are like, how can you have so many things on a menu? Pages and pages of stuff. Nah, man, the best restaurants that I've ever been to, guess what, man? The menu were a page, one page. And that's the way it needs to be. You need to simplify your menu so it's good. So you can concentrate. Yeah, so you can concentrate on making it better all the time. Because even though you have the same menu, you could always make it better.
Ooh, that's so good.
Yeah, because quality. Man, if you don't have quality food, forget it. Or coffee or whatever it is. You said so. What are you offering?
Yeah.
So quality, I mean, it may be number one in a certain ways. If you have bad service at establishment, but you have good food, people will still come back.
That's true.
Yeah, but if you have great service and bad food, guess what? It's not going to happen, man.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. Yeah.
That's good. And we talk a lot about books as well. You're also a fan about books, and I know you read them. You gave me a lot of books to read a couple of times, but I wish I could read them as much as I like to hear them. So I hear a lot of books through Audible and stuff like that. So what's a good book what's one of your favorite books that you've read? How many books do you think have you read?
Thousands.
Wow.
Thousands.
Out of all those, what would be your favorite, you say?
Definitely Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
That's a book that I started reading 30 years ago, and I read it at least once a year now.
Wow.
It's definitely mind-changing, life-changing if you allow to change your life. I'm glad you touched on that because, books are definitely worth reading because they can save you a lot of years in your projects. Yet at the same time, they can harm you because if all you do is read and don't apply what you're reading, then it's even worse. So, I used to read two books a week. Now I'm down to one book a month. But the reason I decided to do that because I really wanna grab a book and take it for what it is. Apply it to my life, then show somebody else how to do it to their life. And I'm also at the point in time in my life that I start reading a book and I don't like it, I put it away. That's Before good. I wouldn't do that. I read the whole book and I say, oh, that wasn't good. Yeah, that wasn't good. But now it's like, hey, if I don't like something, I put it away.
Yeah, Joe, for somebody who's listening and has having a hard time reading, they don't like to read. What would be a good book you recommend for a business owner who let's say this is a good book to start reading, and maybe because I know, let's say leaders are readers. So, what would be a good book you would recommend for a person?
For somebody that doesn't like to read, and I think a book that is small enough and is very powerful is Start With Why.
Start with why.
Simon Sinek. Simon Sinek put it in a very good perspective. Something that we know all along. That you have to define your why and move on. But he does it in a way that is very clear how to do it, and also gives you a lot of examples and
demonstrations.
Also demonstrations, and also tells you why it's important to have it. I think that'll be right there. And the title of the books tell you, start with why.
Yeah.
Definitely not. Think and Grow Rich. For some people, it's kind of hard to read. It was hard for me to read because it's a very, very deep book. It was very so. If somebody starts reading that and don't like it, save it. There's gonna be a point in time in your life that you're gonna go back to it, and you're gonna understand what. And Think and Grow Rich is one of those books that every year you read. I say that wasn't there. Yes, it was.
Wow.
Your mind wasn't ready for it.
You're preaching, man.
Well, it's reality, man.
That's true.
I'm telling you what's happened to me.
Yeah.
It's like that wasn't there, and it's like, wait a minute. Now I understand this. Now I understand
It's like
certain things.
the blow up your head emoji. You're like, what? And that's what I do with How to Win Friends and Influence People. I read it at least once a year. Every time I read it, it's like, who put this chapter in there? Like that wasn't there, like you said, because your mind goes through different seasons, different times where you didn't need it then. And you were just talking about this when we started. You're saying, I'm a happier man now.
I am.
Why? You're saying that you don't read different books now. Can you elaborate a little bit about that?
I'm a happier man because I know exactly what I want. I understand who I am. I understand my strengths and weaknesses, and I know what I need to do for the rest of my life to accomplish every single thing that I need to accomplish. And that makes me happy. Am I satisfied? No, because I know I had to develop a lot of skills over the years. Like I mentioned, I really believe that the next 20 years will be the best years of my life. Accomplishment-wise. My friends tell me, "Oh, you've done a lot of cool things. You're very smart and all that." Like, I don't think I'm smart. I just think that I have enough common sense to understand concepts and apply them. So I always look for concepts that will make things easier. Once I realize that those concepts work, then I teach them to somebody else. But I need to apply. I need to apply things to myself first. I can't be talking about things that I don't know and I haven't done myself. That's where when people talk about leadership, they ask me, "So what's leadership?" I say, "Look, just look at yourself. Leadership starts with you. If you can, lose the way or finish the degree or finish the book that you started, then how can you lead other people when you can lead yourself?" And it really bothers me when I hear people, "Well, I'm a leader. I'm a this and that." And I'm like, "Well, I can show you how to do this." I said, "Have you done it yourself?" Like,
wow.
Yeah. So
that's where like the servant leadership comes in, right? We gotta serve, be willing to change ourselves before we can change other people.
Let me go back to, if you allow me to let me tell you about one of my favorite quotes from all time. One of my favorite writers is poet and philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson. He lived in the 18th century, 19th century. And one of the things he wrote is that your actions speak so loud, I cannot hear what you're saying.
Wow.
So, I try to live my life. I live my life that way, that my actions speak for who I am instead of saying who I am.
So good, man. Lastly, I want to ask, what are you doing right now? I know you're working with a lot of businesses, local businesses through South Central Mercado, right? That's what it's called. Mm-hmm. How does that work, and how can people get involved with that?
South Central Mercado was something that was born out of conversations that we were having. There are a lot of great groups over here in the Phoenix area that do wonderful things for small businesses. However, we felt that there was a gap between instruction and execution. So we decided to provide people with a venue, with a place where they can actually implement what they learn. So South Central Mercado is a multicultural outdoor market. And unfortunately, because of what we're living right now, we're not doing anything. We're hoping that in October we can come back and do it. So we started with 16 vendors back in October 26th, and by the end of February we're at the 36. So every single vendor, local, independent, small business, startup, primarily from the South Phoenix area.
Yeah.
And the purpose of it is to help people start, create, develop a business. And once again, we go back, businesses are the small businesses are the heart and soul of that community. And I was overwhelmed by the response of the community, vendors. It grew so fast, man. Like 4 months, we doubled our size. I mean, everything was going great, and this happened.
Yeah.
So, but it's we'll come back, and we'll do a better job, and we're definitely gonna provide more tools. We have more tools. We have other organizations that want to help us, and we're also going to start, an educational program through South Central Mercado.
That's awesome. How can people get more information on that and join it?
Just Facebook or Instagram. Just look at South Central Mercado, and there's a link, and you can ask for more information to be a vendor and all that. Just look at the stories that we have out there, and it will give you a pretty good idea of what we're all about. And South Central Mercado is all about food, culture, community. So it doesn't get any better than that.
Oh yeah, I think starting a business that's a little push that a lot of people need, just to a little bit of guidance and getting in there.
Starting a business is taking a big leap of faith. Yeah, because it's unknown. You don't know what's going to happen. I really wish that when I started doing small businesses that I would have had some organizations like what they're around today. It would have saved a lot of trouble. But that's by making all those mistakes, losing all that money, that's how you learn. That's how you learn best. That knowledge, you're not going to take it away from me. So what I do is everything I teach is to prevent people from going to through what I went through.
Yeah, so good, Joe. Thank you for your time here. I appreciate this chat, man. I learned a lot just by these couple of minutes from you, and every time you're here, you're always pouring out to me, and I appreciate that. Thank you for what you do for the community as well. You're bringing us closer to our goals. A lot of people who are starting businesses, especially now with this whole pandemic, I think could really use the help. So where can people find you if they need to contact you for solar business?
Well, solar is we have a page. It's Joe Muñoz, and Facebook and Instagram, or they can look at www.solar, just like that. www.solar.
You guys bought that domain?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. It's easy. It's very easy to find us. www.solar.
There you go. It's pretty easy. Solar.com. Thank you, Joe, for your time here.
You're very welcome, man.
We appreciate you coming on the Coffee Chat podcast. Let us know if you have any questions. Comment below. And don't forget to subscribe. That's it for the Coffee Chat podcast, and we'll see you next week on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So we'll see you then. Thank you.